Good day, subscribers. Welcome to the YouTube channel. And once more, we continue to deal with legal aid matters. And today, we are simply going to discuss a simple issue around who actually qualifies to get assistance from Legal Aid South Africa. And one of the things that is clear is that the most vulnerable groups in our country are entitled to legal representation at state expense and will be assisted by Legal Aid South Africa. This includes, for example, your women, your children, and especially the rural poor. And they will definitely be able to get assistance. So the aim is actually to assist the poor. And one thing that is clear is that anyone that passes the means test, because that is the test that is used to determine whether or not a person is able to qualify or get assistance from Legal Aid South Africa. And it is certainly very clear. But what is this means test? A means test is just simply a way to determine how much, for example, do you earn. For example, what are the things that you own? And they then make a determination whether, on the basis of this means test, whether one qualifies or not. One of the things that is clear is that if after tax you get at least a minimum of 7,400, you should easily, that is after tax, you should easily be able to qualify for legal aid services. And this is a very, very important issue. Now, there are also issues there with legal aid because they deal with both criminal issues, they deal with civil issues. And as far as it relates to children, children automatically qualify for legal aid services. It doesn't matter whether they themselves meet the means test, especially if it relates to criminal issues. Even if a child can be a millionaire, but as long as they are children, they certainly should, because they automatically qualify in criminal matters. The scales will change a little bit, especially when it goes to civil matters, because whoever is a parent of that child would have to satisfy the means test, and only then would one be allowed to be given representation by legal aid. The other thing is they will look at, for example, your households. If, for example, there are many of you in a household, then they will determine whether jointly at least the household gets more or less a minimum salary of 8,000. And if that is the case, you would also probably not qualify for legal aid. But the good thing is that after a decision has been made, there are also processes where you can appeal, especially if there has been refusal for you to be granted legal aid. There are processes that one can follow to be able to appeal a particular decision for you not to qualify. And obviously, if, for example, you have a house, they will consider that obviously you have a house, you have a car, but jointly those assets must not be more than 640,000. And obviously, if you have a house, it must be the only house that you have, and it must be the only house that you stay in. So you cannot be renting it out and then coming and claiming legal aid. But I do not know really. Oh, because then the other thing is, if you do not have a house, maybe you are renting and so forth, they will calculate all your belongings. And if, for example, your belongings must be less than, I think, 128,000, and then if they are less, you will qualify. If they are more, you won't qualify. I am not really sure as to what is the formula that was used to calculate all of these things, but this is clearly what is actually happening in practice. And one thing for sure I will recommend is that go to their offices if you need help, assist them with all relevant information that you need, and then they will determine whether you qualify or not qualify. But don't you be the one that disqualifies yourself, because you might be under the mistaken impression that you do not qualify and stay away, while in fact you may qualify. So go there, indicate what your issues are, what you need help with, and hopefully then legal aid will then come to your rescue. This is very, very, very important, South Africa. So I conclude by saying, remember, legal aid is there to provide legal services and legal advice at state expense. In other words, the government pays or the taxpayer pays, and obviously they are also there to provide information and education about legal rights of people as enshrined in our constitution. So don't be afraid to utilize them. Having said that, South Africans, thank you so very much. And I'm sure now you have an idea of who qualifies, what is more or less the means test, and how does it more or less work. But one thing for sure I will say, do not disqualify yourself. Allow me then to remind you, please, to subscribe, to suggest comments, to make comments, suggest topics to the channel, and continue to show us some likes. Thank you very much, you guys.